Hey, we are doing an intro to hearing God in Scripture. We want to tell you why we're doing this podcast.
Yeah. And, really, Joel and I, we sit down and we have been for, I don't know, 12, 13 years since I've been dating and married to his daughter. We sit down and we have these types of conversations, and we want to bring you into that.
Right. And really the idea, and this is what I teach my students. I have a doctorate and I'm teaching basically Old Testament biblical studies, but more specifically Old Testament usually. And but I teach hermeneutics, or I'm teaching through biblical studies, but how do you read the scripture well? How do you do it so that you hear God? And that's what we're going to discuss. We're going to go through different scriptures, and we do through different scriptures and say, what is God saying here? And what does he want to do with us? How do we read it right? How do we hear God when we read it? And how do we apply it appropriately into our lives?
And for me, I've been a Christian my whole life, but one of the things that, when I read the Bible, it feels like just reading. And so for me, this is like such a unique and fun opportunity to, one, hold myself accountable, but two, to sit down with Joel, who's been doing hermeneutics and this type of reading, and I would even say research, because you're researching the word. But I get to learn, right? And yeah, we want to bring you into that journey for myself. And as Joel continues to learn and continues to read and continues to hear different things from what he is seeing in the scripture, and we get to sit down and talk about that.
Right. And really, it's important to say that God talks. He's speaking all the time. We should be listening. But most important is in the scripture.
And that's really the point that we wanted to get across when we were trying to figure out a name for this, was hearing God in scripture. Emphasis on scripture and hearing God in that.
Right.
Hence the name.
And that's what we're going to do on this podcast.
And we look forward to our growth.
Right.
We look forward to growing in our relationship together as a son-in-law and a father-in-law. And really, we hope that this journey helps you discover God in scripture.
And we invite you into this process with us.